on our partnership website. So it's 1 p.m., so without further ado, I want to welcome everyone to our Career Options Within New York State Government Glossary of Titles Inquiry Tool webinar. This is a presentation of the New York State and CSEA Partnership for Education and Training. My name is Jess Rothman, and I'll be your host for the webinar today. And our instructors will be Tanya Stevenson and Dan Dudden. At this point, I'm just going to check to make sure that everyone's phones are muted. This is going to keep background noise to a minimum. Now, if you have any questions, you can click on the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. It looks like an icon of a hand in the air. And then once you've been called on, I'll unmute you and you can speak using your phone or a microphone attached to your computer. I want you all to try raising your hand right now, just so that I know you know where it is. So click on that raise hand button for me. Excellent. Awesome. Really good. Okay. To put your hand down, you're going to click on that same button, and you're going to see that hand disappear next to your name in the participants panel. All right. So you can, we'll use this for other activities as well, just so you know. And you can also type any questions or comments you have in the chat box as we go along. The chat box is located at the bottom right-hand side. It's not open by default, so you do have to click on the chat button to open it. Then type your message where it says enter chat message here and press enter on your keyboard. I do also ask that you make sure that everyone is selected in that to area. That way we can all benefit from the conversation and the questions that you may ask. As I mentioned previously, today's webinar is sponsored by the New York State and CSEA Partnership for Education and Training, or as many people refer to us, just the partnership. Now, for those of you who are less familiar with the partnership, it's an organization that administers education and training programs for CSEA represented employees through labor management cooperation. It's funded through negotiated agreements between New York State and CSEA. The partnership typically offers in-person classroom training, online learning, educational advisement services, grants, tuition benefits, labor management services, and other education and training programs, including the one that you're attending today. In essence, the partnership is a joint labor management organization whose mission is to promote career mobility, improve job skills, support workplace safety and health, and promote effective labor management relations. You can learn more about us on our website or by calling us directly, and I will be providing our contact information again at the end of today's webinar. Now that we all know a little bit more about the partnership, let's get started. I'm going to turn this webinar over to your instructors, starting with Tanya.
Okay, thank you, Jessica, and welcome to today's seminar called Glossary of Titles Inquiry Tool, also called Got It. My name is Tanya Stevenson, and Dan Dudden is also here to present today's webinar. We both work in the Career Mobility Office located within the Department of Civil Service. The Career Mobility Office takes policy direction and program administration from the Office of Employee Relations and the Department of Civil Service. Our office was created because the union's interest in educating their members on the merit system and providing them with information and resources on their mobility options within the merit system. We can understand that navigating through New York State's approximately 3,000 job titles can be difficult and overwhelming. We are here today to show you Got It, which is a tool that provides one central place to find your career mobility options and to also discover different career paths. During today's webinar, we will discuss the benefits of Got It and also how to best use it. Got It provides 4 different search features: a title search, agency search, occupation search, and a geographical search. In addition, we will also spend some time in this webinar discussing the various resources that are available to you. Going through this information may generate additional questions about your own specific eligibility and salary. There are some specific topics that we will not be able to address during this webinar. The first is individual questions pertaining to your specific work history or career interests. We have found that everyone's situation is different. We welcome you to contact our office where you can individually discuss your personal questions in more detail. Our contact information will be located at the end of this PowerPoint presentation. We are also not able to answer questions related to salary. Salary determinations are made by the hiring agency and the Office of the State Controller. So if you ever have questions related to your salary, you would need to contact your hiring agency. In regards to salary, on each title page in Got It, there's a link to the salary schedules. We will show you this when we take a field trip to show you the title search feature.
Okay, so before we get started in today's webinar, we wanted to get some information from you. How many of you have ever heard of Got It? Please use the raised hand button if you have heard of it.
As Dan said, go ahead and click on that raise hand button for us if you've ever heard of Got It before. And wow, I think that's about half, Dan.
Okay, all right, good, good. All right, so thank you for sharing that with us. So how many of you guys have actually searched through Got It? And again, use the raised hand icon if you have.
I'm going to give everyone a second to either lower or raise their hands again before I take a quick count. But that looks closer to about a third of the class today, Dan.
Okay, great. So it looks like we have some folks that, might be at least somewhat familiar with Got It, but we also have folks who aren't. So I hope that everybody should be able to get, some useful things out of today's presentation. Okay, so Got It is an online searchable resource specific to New York State employees that allows you to search and view job titles that exist in state government as well as identify career options. When searching through Got It, there are some key terms and definitions that you should keep in mind. We will be going on some field trips to the Got It website later, and when we do that, we will point out where these key terms are located. On each job title page in Got It, you will be shown information about that job's career ladder. The career ladder is a listing of titles that are most commonly used as steps for upward mobility for a specific title series. You will find the salary schedule there, which will show you the salary range of titles in a specific series. Also, there is the summary of job description, which will also appear on the title page. It will give you a general idea of the job duties that are expected of an employee in this job. The summary of minimum qualifications area will identify the minimum qualifications that are needed for the position. If an examination is required, generally there will be a link that you can click on to view the previous examination announcement for your reference.
Okay, thank you. There will also be a section on the title page called How to Apply, which will identify whether or not an examination is used to fill a position. This section directs you to the Department of Civil Service website for examination information. If no examination is used, you will be advised that the New York State agencies will fill the position based upon a review of the candidate's qualifications against the established minimum qualifications for that particular title, and that you must apply directly to the agencies that use that title. The section on career mobility will give you information on transfer options related to the title you are viewing. There are some cases where there may be no transfer options. If no transfer options are available, please contact our office for additional information. Before we start with our next discussion, we have a polling question for you. How many of you know your appointment status, jurisdictional class, and salary grade?
The polling panel on the right-hand side of your screen, you can select the circle next to the letter option A, B, C, or D that best reflects what you currently know, and then press the green send button below that. Now, if the polling panel isn't appearing for you, just go ahead and type your letter answer into the chat box. And I'll give everybody another 10 or 15 seconds or so. Okay, so it looks like pretty much most of the class has answered, Tanya, and
Okay.
B is the most popular answer. They know their salary grade. There are about evenly matched for folks that know 2 of these things and some that know all 3. So,
okay. Well, it sounds good. I mean, it varies across the board there, but what we would like to see is that everyone know all 3 and why it is important. So that's what we're going to address.
now, before we move on, I just want to let you all know that once I opened that polling panel, your chat panel and participant panel would have closed. So to reopen those, just click on the chat button at the bottom once and twice to reopen it, and that should make it full size again. So, all right, back to you, Tanya.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. Now, it is important to know your appointment status, jurisdictional class, and salary grade because they distinguish your rights and mobility options. If you do not know this information, feel free to contact our office and we can look up your work history and find it out for you. Again, our contact information will be listed at the end of this PowerPoint presentation. How you are appointed, permanent, temporary, or provisional, along with your jurisdictional class, will determine your mobility options. Employees must have permanent service in order to be eligible for promotion exams, and they must also be in the competitive class to be eligible for transfer. If you are currently serving on a temporary or provisional basis, but had previous permanent service, you may have the mobility options based on your previous permanent service. Contact our office to discuss your options.
Your position's jurisdictional class also needs to be considered to determine your mobility. There are 4 different jurisdictional classes. The first class is competitive. The titles in this class are filled by candidates who have taken and passed an examination. Approximately 80% of examinations in the state fall within the competitive class. Permanently appointed employees in this class may be eligible to transfer to other competitive class titles and also to take promotion exams. Non-competitive positions require either qualifications or characteristics that cannot be tested for. Because of this, there is no written exam to fill these positions. They are filled by candidates who have the required credentials. The labor class does not involve an examination as well. These are laborer positions used in a variety of agencies like cleaners. Although there is no examination, candidates must be physically able to perform the duties of the job. Permanently appointed employees in the non-competitive or labor class are not eligible to transfer, but may be eligible to take some promotion exams, which would be noted on the exam announcement. And finally, the exempt class positions are positions such as agency heads or special assistants and are generally appointed by the governor or the appointing authority. Only a small percentage of the state workforce falls within the exempt class. Exempt class employees have no civil service rights or mobility options such as transfer. Again, this is important information you should know, not only about your current position, but also any position you're interested in working in. Okay, so back to Got It. On your screen, you see the web address for Got It. Now, there are 4 ways to search in Got It. These types are listed on the screen. First, we are going to show you how to conduct a title search. Later, we'll take some field trips to the Got It website to demonstrate searching and also to discuss the key terms we mentioned earlier.
Okay, so to get started, we're going to take a look at the title search in Got It. To do that, after you get to the Got It site, you will click on the title search, which I've circled on the screen. After you click on the title search, you will see this screen. The best way to start is by typing in a New York State job title in the title keywords box. This is useful if you are looking to search for a specific job, for example, Office Assistant 1. If you do not know the exact title, you can also type in parts of its name, such as social work or accounting, and the search will show you results with these keywords. Also, be sure to use full words in the title. The search will not recognize an abbreviation or acronym like OA for Office Assistant. Also, if you are searching for a job like Office Assistant 1, you will need to use the numeral number 1. There is also a drop-down box below it where you can select a particular jurisdictional class. You can choose that class if you know it, or you can leave it blank. This box is useful if you are interested in searching a list of titles with a specific jurisdictional class. As we mentioned earlier, the jurisdictional classes are competitive, non-competitive, labor, and exempt.
In the bottom of the green search criteria box, where you can see a range of, in the bottom section of the green search criteria box are areas where you can specify a range for the title salary grade, as well as the drop-down box to specify an agency where you hope to find that job. These options can help you narrow down your search, and I've drawn a box around this area. However, you may not always know this information, and if you don't know it or aren't concerned about this information, just leave it blank. Most of the time, I just type in the title keywords. I just use the title keywords area and put in a title like Office Assistant 1 and then click Search. Whichever sections you fill in, the search results will produce titles that have those characteristics. So, let's say we conducted a search for the title keywords Office Assistant 1, and these were the results that were produced. As you can see, any titles that have the words Office, Assistant, or the number 1 are listed, including the title Office Assistant 1. If we clicked on the link for Office Assistant 1, this is the type of information that would be shown to you. The red arrows on your screen point to the title you searched for at the top, the career ladder for this title, and the possible transfer options are going to be on the right if there are any available.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Let's do a live title search now and look at the title page in its entirety. Jessica, would you please bring up the Got It website?
Absolutely. And as I do so, I just want to let everyone know you are going to be seeing my screen, which means you can't click around, and I'll do my best to eliminate any sort of distractions. But here we are, Tanya.
Okay, wonderful. So could you please click on the title search link, and then let's type in the title Office Assistant 1 in the title keywords box, and then click search. The first paragraph on this page identifies the number of these positions that exist statewide. Please note that GOTIT does not provide vacancy information. GOTIT will only show the total number of positions that exist in any agency that are both filled and vacant. It is important for you to contact the agency to find out if there are any vacancies right now. In this first paragraph, there are also links to view a breakdown of positions by county, as well as a link of a list of New York State agencies. Moving down the page, the second paragraph includes links where you can get vacancy information, and below that is the career ladder area, where you'll find a link to the current salary schedule. Below that, you'll see a section on summary of qualifications and how to apply. Further down, under the heading Career Mobility, you will see a link which will bring you to a listing of titles that an Office Assistant 1 may transfer into. Let's click on that Transfer Opportunities link to look at these transfer titles more closely. Let's say that an Office Assistant 1 and you are interested in the Hospital Patient Services Clerk 1 title. Jessica, can you please click on that link? You will see that we are now on the title page for the Hospital Patients Services Clerk 1. With a transfer, you apply directly to the hiring agency by sending your resume and cover letter. You can find out the county and the agency a title exists in by clicking on the first link at the top of the title page. View a breakdown of positions by county. Jessica, please click on that link. And as you can see, the Hospital Patient Services Clerk exists in specific counties. If you cannot work in these counties, this will not be an option for you. Please keep in mind that the total number of positions identified in GOTIT are positions both filled and vacant. You can contact an agency and inquire about vacancies, or you can view the statejobsny.com website, which is where many of our state agencies post their vacancies. Jessica, can you please send that web address to the participants through the chat feature? This link, okay. And just to let you know, this link is also located on the top of each title page. Okay. So, Jessica, now before we go on to the slideshow, I just wanted to let you know that to get back to the GOTIT page, you will need to click the back button. And let's go ahead now and continue with the slideshow.
All right. So we should be back to the slideshow. Are you able to
do we have any questions?
You have any questions, type them in the chat box. And, oh, I didn't send the website, sorry. Typed it.
Ah, they got it now.
Okay. All right. So there's that website. And then also, yep, as Tanya was saying, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box. If you do type them in a couple of minutes, I'll call Tanya and Dan's attention to them, so no worries about that. But right now, I am not seeing any questions, so I think we're okay to move on.
Okay, wonderful. So at this point, let's test your memory. Now that we've talked about the title search and GOTIT, let's start by looking at a scenario on the screen. Thomas is a mental health therapy aide, or MHATA. He has taken exams but is interested in his other career opportunities. We want to use the guided title search to help him find jobs that he could transfer to. Here's the question. If we typed in the letters MHTA in the title keywords box, would the search find the title Mental Health Therapy Aid?
Use the chat box, and you're all ahead of me, but go ahead and use that chat box to let us know if this would work. Yes, no, maybe. It's pretty unanimous, Tanya. They're all saying no, this isn't going to work.
Right on. The answer is no. We can't search using abbreviations in the title keywords box. We need to use whole words. You can't use, you don't have to use all of the words in the title, though. You can use some of them, such as therapy aid. Now, since we know that Thomas is looking for other career opportunities without taking another exam, let's look at his transfer options. Take a look at the image we have on the screen. Can you tell me one of the jobs that he could possibly transfer into?
We're going to use the chat box to answer Tanya's question. Now, if you can't quite see it, if it's a little too small for you, there is a plus and a minus button just above the slide that you can use to zoom in. So use those a little bit if you need to. And then type your answer in the chat box. But it looks like we already have a couple of answers coming in. We have recreation assistant, rehab assistant 1, residential program assistant 1, dev assistant trainee, and yep, that's it for them.
Okay, wonderful. So out of the 4 that is listed, we actually received a good combination of those. So that's a great job. Now, if you were actually on the live website, you could have also clicked on that View All Transfers link to see more transfer options. Before we move on, does anyone have a question?
As always, if you do have a question, feel free to type it in the chat box at any time. You can also click on that raise hand button, but I don't see any raised hands, and I still don't see any questions, so I think we're okay.
Okay, wonderful. So now we're going to talk about agency search.
Okay. As you can see, we have the agency search link highlighted. Now, here's what you'd see if you clicked on agency search. By selecting the name of an agency from the green agency window box, you will be provided with a listing of titles that exist within that particular agency. And then from there, you can select a title to view detailed information about it. Please note the link on the bottom of your screen to view links to all New York State agencies. That will bring you to a page that has links to the web pages of all New York State agencies. In this example, we choose to click on the link of the first agency on the list, which is the Adirondack Park Agency. And on the left-hand side of the screen, you will see some general agency information. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see we've highlighted a listing of titles that exist in that agency. Now, if you select a specific title, you can see more detailed information about that title.
Okay, thank you. Here's a quick quiz for you. Given what you've just learned, what is the best way, in your opinion, to find out the vacancies at a particular agency?
All right, this is our second poll for this webinar today. So I'm going to have you do the same thing as before. Select the circle next to the letter option that you think is the best way to find vacancies at a particular agency. And if you're still having any issue with that polling tab, go ahead and just type your letter answer into the chat box for us. And I'm going to give everyone a little bit more time with this one as well. Okay, so Tanya, it looks like the most popular answer is B, the Got It agency search, followed by just a couple of votes for D, none of these.
Just a couple of votes for none. Okay. So the answer is D, none of these. You can find vacancies on the statejobsny.com website, but not in Got It. The link for the statejobsny.com website is included in our useful links page at the end of this presentation. Next, let's talk about the occupation search. The third type of search you can conduct in Got It is an occupation search. This is a useful search if you do not have a specific title to search for, but want to look for a broad span of titles in a specific occupational field. Let's see what we'd get if we clicked on the occupation search.
So I apologize. So now you'll see a breakdown of more specific occupations within this particular field. Now, if we click within this field on the link Hospital and Institution Business Administration and Office Management, we will be able to see the titles that fall under this specific occupational area. Does anyone have any questions?
No, I'm not unmuted. If anybody has any questions, as always, please feel free to type them in the chat or to click on that raise hand button. Let me just do a quick scan here, make sure I'm not missing anybody, Dan. Let's see. Okay, nope, no questions at this time, so let's keep going.
Okay.
All righty. Let's look at the scenario on the screen. Your friend is a cook at a diner. She would like to work for New York State using these skills. Use Got It to help her find similar jobs types in state service. Okay, let's see how we can help your friend. When we don't know a specific title or we want to explore a list of occupations in New York State, we use the occupational search and Got It to help. So that's what we're going to do. Think about the scenario again. Your friend is a cook at a diner. You are going to use the Got It occupation search to help her find a job in New York State that are like a cook's job. Let's assume that I have already clicked on the occupational search. This is what you'll actually see. Look at the page and think about which occupational area you would like to explore more.
Using the chat box, tell us which of these occupation interests that you, or areas, you would click on to find a job for your friend. And again, if you need to zoom in, use the plus and the minus buttons at the top of the slide. Okay, and it looks like pretty much everyone is saying nutrition and food services.
Okay, excellent. Because this is actually, where I would start off as well. So that's a great job. Can't trick you guys. Let's see what Got It has to show us about the occupational area. Do any of these job titles look promising to you?
Once again, use the chat box and scan that page first and tell us which of those job titles you think would be good for your friend. Okay. I'm going to give everyone else a little bit of a chance to respond.
Okay. So there could be several options here, right?
Yeah,
if you want to see more titles, pardon me.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say, it looks like everyone's saying cook pretty unanimously.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Cook is exactly where we would want to go. If you wanted to see more titles, you could click on the next button at the bottom of the screen. And if you wanted to learn more about a title, such as the minimum qualifications, we could click on one of the title links. But I think we've all got it figured out. Before I move on, does anyone have a question?
All right, and you all know the drill by now. If you do, go ahead and raise your hand or type it in the chat box. But as we've been going through, I haven't seen anything come up, Tanya, so I think we're all set.
Okay. The last type of search in Got It is the geographic search.
The geographic search will allow you to search title information by county. So if you were to click on geographic search, a map of New York State would appear. There are two ways to search for a particular county in New York State. First, you can click on the link at the top of your screen called Counties in New York State. By clicking on that link, you'll get an alphabetical listing of counties within New York State. Also, if you were to move your cursor over the map of New York State, when you moved over a particular county, that county would be identified. So let's say we wanted information about Albany County. Once we select Albany County, you can go directly to the top of the screen and click on one of the agencies that have offices in that county. If we were to click on the name of one of those agencies, we'd see the same sort of information we'd get if we'd done an agency search. For example, we'd see the job titles that exist at that agency. The second green search box will allow you to select a particular location in the county you are searching. This can enable you to further limit your search results.
Okay. I'd like to stop and ask you a question now. Thinking about what you've learned so far about Got It, here's a scenario for you. Let's say that you have found a house and you'd like to buy that in another part of the state. How could you use Got It to see which agencies exist near that house? I'd like you to think about it and then type your answer in the chat box.
Type your ideas about how you can use Got It to help you find a job near a location that you'd like to move to. Go ahead and use the chat box for that. And they're really quick with this one, Tanya. Everyone is saying geographic search.
Okay, so that sounds like, you know, we've been listening and taking in that information. So in addition to the demonstration of Got It, we also wanted to discuss some additional career links and resources. When you go to the main Got It screen, there are some links at the bottom that can be helpful to you. We have highlighted useful links on the screen. The Useful Links page provides additional links and information on upcoming examinations, vacancy information on the State Jobs NY website, and the Department of Labor's website, just to name a few. You may want to visit some of these sites to find out more about their services. I've listed some of these on the screen. However, the actual link page has many more, including one on the New York State and CSEA partnership, so it's worth a visit. As we stated earlier that we're going to provide the CMO's contact information, here it is. If you have any additional questions or you would like to discuss your specific situation in more detail, please feel free to contact our office. Thank you for joining us and for your participation. We have a few more minutes before we close to answer any questions you may have and hear any additional thoughts and ideas. Before we move on to questions and answers, I'd like to turn this over to our webinar host, who will talk to you about the partnership their upcoming webinars and the course evaluation.
Thank you, Tanya. And the CMO staff, Dan and Tanya, are the experts on Got It and career mobility within New York State Service. However, the partnership does offer some related and complementary services that are bearing of mention. So, for example, the partnership has several advisors who can help you to meet your career and educational goals. Our partnership advisors can work with you with career advisement, so we can assist employees in learning about themselves, their job choices, and their potential careers. We can help you with academic advisement, helping employees clarify and reach their educational goals. And we can also help with the tuition benefits program. If you're not aware what that is, it is a really wonderful program that all of our members should be taking advantage of. So our advisors can provide you with information on the tuition benefits program and how to use those vouchers and reimbursements, as well as credit by exam reimbursements, certification, and licensure reimbursements. Lots of good things are available through that program. So please, if you haven't heard about it before, take advantage of it for sure. You can call our advisors, or you can visit the advisement services page on the partnership website for more information on all of these programs. And I wanted to also mention that the partnership advisors are available to speak with employees Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 at 800-253-4332, or at the other number you see on the screen. And you can also email them at any time at the advisors at NYS-CSEA-partnership.org website, or I'm sorry, email address. And you can visit the partnership website for more detailed information. So we do have quite a bit of time left here. I want to mention, for anyone that has to kind of jump off, I'm just going to mention a couple of things, but we are, we have a little bit more time, so we'll be able to answer more questions, and we'll also be able to walk you through the Career Mobility Office website as well. So for anyone that has to leave now, I'm just going to do my quick plug for the other webinars that we have. This is just the start of the summer webinar series, so if you liked this one, check out the rest of our catalog for the summer, and then also keep your eyes open for the fall schedule, which usually comes out at the beginning of August. To get there, you can go on our website, or you can scan this QR code with your phone, and it'll take you right there. So do try either one of those options. And then the other plug I will make is for our evaluation. So when you leave the webinar today, your internet browser is going to open up a new window, and that contains our evaluation. It may ask you to continue, say that WebEx is trying to send you to another site. I promise it's not spam, it's just our evaluation. So if you take a couple of minutes to do that, we would really appreciate it after you leave today. So let's see, Dan, would you like me to pull up the Career Mobility Office website and start there? I don't see any questions. Folks, feel free to type them in. At will, really.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, give me just one moment to do that. Now that's separate from the Got It website, right?
Correct. And if it's easier, I can share my screen. Would that?
Yes, please do. Here, let me make sure you have the right to do so. Actually, I think you.
Yep. I think I'm good. So, okay, so now I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to share content, and I'm going to, okay, so at this point, does everybody see the civil service website?
Yes, and I also have a question from Denidra. Do you mind if I unmute her quickly?
Sure.
Denidra, go ahead. I think, Denidra, you're unmuted, so you should be able to, what's your question? Oh, okay. Denidra, if you're able to, can you type it into the chat? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You did tell me that you were in a phone. Let me find it. I can't see the last 4 digits of the phone numbers, only the first. Are you a 914? Isn't that fun? Okay, so let me see here. Well, Dan, go ahead. Oh, it's the 518. I've got her.
Okay.
Go ahead, Denidra.
Hi.
Hi.
On the training class, as we were just saying, I did sign up for the tuition benefits one that is actually today, but when you go to SLMS accounts, it would like say pending or not getting any answer. What do you do?
Okay, Denidra, I can look into that for you and I can get back to you by email. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, I will follow up with you. I have your info.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take it away, Dan.
Okay, so we have information in the in the PowerPoint. We did have a link for our website. You can also access it through the civil service website, which when I talk with folks is usually how I kind of walk them through it because they're already on the civil service site. So if you're on the civil service page, you're going to go up here to this banner, and then you see the option for state employees. If you click on that, you're going to get a drop-down menu. And then at the bottom of that drop-down menu is going to be us, the Career Mobility Office. And when you click on that, you're going to get to our homepage. And we always tell people to, have our homepage be the first step in any sort of job search you're doing with the state. Now, as we talked about in the presentation, our site doesn't list the job postings. You're generally going to be finding those on the State Jobs New York website, but we do link to the State Jobs site. We also link to the Civil Service Exams page and a variety of other areas, so it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Now, I tell people to go to our site because of all the resources that we have there. And really, any of these links on the left-hand side of the screen are going to be useful reference points for you. At the top left corner over here is Got It. We've already kind of walked through that. Now, below that is this Employee Services heading or section. And this is all really good kind of quick reference information. We have stuff in here about how the civil service merit system works. We talk about strategies for job search. We also have these resume and interviewing resources right here. And when I talk with folks on the phone or work with folks via email, I'm really plugging these areas, the resume and interviewing resources. And these are important because as you move around, whether it's through exams, whether it's through transfers, you always want to expect to be competing against other people. From a civil service standpoint, there's generally always going to be a pool of people that an agency can choose from. So you want to make sure that you're showing with your resume, with your cover letter, with your interview, how you feel you're the best fit for that specific position. And since a lot of us don't do resumes all that often or don't interview all that often, these resources are really good reference points. So on the resume section, we talk about information to include. We also include samples of different types of resumes. There are different resume styles. We also have tips on cover letters and sample cover letters, things like that. Under interviewing, we kind of do the same thing. We talk about, what are some good strategies to prepare for an interview. We have under here, interview questions, a listing of potentially difficult interview questions that you could get asked and strategies in how to deal with those. So that can kind of help you, not get thrown off your game during an interview. And so we've got stuff here. Now also under here, under trainings, these are the different workshops that we do. And we do these in, a live webinar version with a partnership like we're doing today, but we also have these webinars pre-recorded. So if you're ever, waiting, you signed up for, one of our webinars, you're waiting for it to, for the date to come up, you can come here and download a pre-recorded version of that webinar, and then that can give you at least an overview of what's discussed. So to do that, to see a pre-recorded webinar version, you'd come under the training section, you'd click on the topic that you're interested in. In this case, it's going to be the Guided Inquiries tools. And then this gives you an overview of the workshop. And then under Available Formats, you've got this sentence here, recorded webinar available here, with a link under here. And if you click on that, it's going to download a pre-recorded version of this webinar. And, so you can kind of have that for your reference. I'm not going to launch it now because it does take a little while to load, but, if you're ever waiting, for us to do one of these webinars, you can, watch it here. Also under handouts, these are our standard reference packets, and we've got a CMO information packet, which is this is a really good thing to kind of print out and keep by your desk. It talks about who we are, it talks about, our workshops, our services. We have a lot of good, kind of quick reference about how does the civil service merit system work. But the thing about this packet that I really like is this stuff at the end here. This is a directory of different areas that you may have questions about as a state employee. So if you have questions about your accruals, for example, we've got a number for the civil service. We've got contact points for the civil service attendance and leave unit. If you're trying to get in touch with CSCA, we have the general CSCA contact information. This is, a variety of areas where you guys may have questions. This website and Got It, this is step-by-step instructions on how to use Got It, just what we went through today. And then also resume writing and interview preparation down here. This is a packet that's like hard copy versions of that online resume and interviewing stuff we have on our website. So if you haven't, we'd really encourage you guys to kind of just take some time and explore our website, because there is a lot of stuff here that can help you try and move around and, and find something, that you're really interested in. Now, again, we don't have the actual job postings, but we do link to the places that do. So, once you know the stuff that you're interested in, then you can scroll down to the bottom of the CMO website, wherever you are on the page, on our home page, you can see this link down here, useful links. So you'd click that, and now you're on our links page. And then you've got the link here for State Jobs New York. You've got a link here for the Civil Service Exams page. You've got a link here for Civil Service email notification. If you aren't familiar with email notification, this is a service that Civil Service offers where if you provide your email address, they're going to send you email alerts anytime any new Civil Service exams are announced. So signing up for this notification system is really the best thing to do to stay on top of what exams are being offered, because most exams are only held every few years, so you want to stay current on that. We have links to the Civil Service eligible list page. So if you need to update your, contact information, you want to see, information about lists you're on, you can go to that. And then down here, we have a link that can take you directly to the New York State CSCA Partnership website and, be able to see the services that they have on their website. So we've really tried to make this, a useful one-stop shop for employees. We are always trying to improve it, so keep an eye on it, if things are changing, but we really hope that this can help you.
This is awesome, Dan, and there are so many folks who are very, very happy to have seen this, so I think it's been really, really helpful. I see a question, or a hand raised, I should say, from Carmea. Carmea, I'm going to unmute you so that you can ask your question. You should be unmuted now. Did you have a question? Okay, we can't hear you. If you would like, you can type your question into the chat box. But let's see. Lots of folks just very grateful for this extra information. It's not always the case that our folks from the Career Mobility Office are able to do this. So We really appreciate it when we have extra time for them to do so. So thank you both to Dan and to Tanya. This is really a lot of good information today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to do just like a last, I mean, we still have 6 minutes, folks, so if you do have a question, Carmea is asking what the link is to, and I can type that in for her, to the Career Mobility Office website.
Okay.
Any other questions while we're here, while you guys have Dan and Tanya? Of course, you can always call them in their office, as they mentioned. You can always call us here at the partnership. Oh, here's a question from Kimberly. How best do you manage the canvases you may get while you are employed?
So for me, what I do is I always know, like I keep in the back of my mind that, you know, circumstances may change. So one of the things that I try and do is make sure that I'm responding to any Canvas letter that I get, whether or not I'm interested in it or not. Because if you don't respond to a Canvas letter, that can be coded as a declination due to no response. And then that can limit, you know, what type of lists you go out on in the future, you know, connected with that exam. So what I will do is anytime I get a Canvas, I will, you know, I don't have a copy of a Canvas letter in front of me, but if you guys have gotten one, you know that there's like 5 or 6 different response options. And they range from, you know, yes, I'm interested in this position, I can report in 2 weeks or whatever it is, to no, I'm not interested at all. But then there's this other one that kind of splits the difference, and that one says, and it's at the, I think it's at the bottom of these response options, it says, I'm not interested in this position at this time, but please keep me in mind for future positions. And that's generally the one that I accept. So that's generally the one that I choose, because, you know, I don't know what's going to happen down the road. Now, usually I'm doing this for, you know, for areas of the state that I have no interest in relocating to right now. Like I've been on a bunch of different promotion lists, and I get canvassed from all over the state. And so, you know, I get a canvas for Buffalo, I get a canvas for New York City. Well, I don't really want to relocate right now, but who knows what is going to happen a year from now, you know, so I try and keep that open. The other thing that I do is for titles that I'm really, really interested in, I try and be proactive. And what I'll do, as well as keeping an eye out for Canvas letters, and, you know, now I think most of the canvases are via email, but what I try and do as well is monitor the State Jobs New York website, or monitor our department's internal job postings page. And if I see postings for titles where I'm on a list for, and I really, really want that job, I'll be proactive and I'll send in a resume and a cover letter. And, you know, in my cover letter, I'll say, hey, I'm applying as an eligible list candidate. Here's my score on the list. You know, please consider me if you're able to. You know, they're going to know about me once they check the system, but this is just kind of a way to be proactive. And, you know, I'm kind of doing everything I can to be considered for a specific position. And I'll generally kind of take that approach unless the posting specifically says, hey, if you're on a list for this, don't apply, we're going to canvass you. You know, sometimes with the big lists, like the beginning office assistant or the PCO, you know, where you got thousands of people on a list, you know, they may just say, hey, we'll canvass you. But otherwise, I'll try and be proactive and send out a thing. The other thing that I'll do is definitely still keep an eye out for exams, because if that exam, you know, if I'm on a list and the exam comes out again before I'm hired off that list, I want to make sure I try and take that exam again, because that exam is going to replace the list that I'm on.
All right. Thank you. Lots of thank yous in the chat. Great information here today. If there are any other questions after this time, you can feel free to reach out to us at the partnership, phone, email, check our website. Same thing with the Career Mobility Office. It looks like everybody is, well, I'll say this. If you have no more questions, feel free to click on the X in the upper right-hand corner and leave the webinar today. But other than that, feel free to stick around. If you do have a question, type it in the chat, raise your hand. Oh, I see a raised hand from Alyssa. Oh, Carmea says you were very helpful. Here, Alyssa. Alyssa, you've been unmuted.
Is it possible to take multiple tests
within a 6-month period?
Within a 6-month.
Oh.
I'm getting there, lady. I promise.
Oh, you're unmuted. I didn't know if
Sorry, I was spelling incorrectly. I'm asking for someone else who walked in and was listening.
So the question is it possible to take multiple tests within a 6-month period? Yeah. Civil service is consistent. They're constantly planning new exams. We in CMO, and I think civil service in general, encourages people to, sign up and take any exam that they qualify for. The more exams you take and pass, the more lists you get on, the more options you have. Also, sometimes not every exam will have a written test, especially since COVID hit. Civil service is, kind of exploring different test formats. So most exams, and we do a webinar about this, exams and eligible lists, but, a lot of exams still consist of a written test, where you go to, a test center on a Saturday, you do a bubble sheet, stuff like that. But another popular test format is this thing called an evaluation of training and experience. In that case, it's not a written test. You're getting a questionnaire. Usually it's going to be online, where you're highlighting certain work experience or education or training you have in select areas. And then your score on that type of test is going to depend on how closely your responses match the criteria for the title. So you really want to take any exams that you can. The other thing is that, well, first off, the fee situation is kind of changing. I think that fees are going to be waived. But in addition, you guys as CSCA members, even before that, you have, a lot of exam fees that are waived just, under the contract. So, you really want to take any exams that you can.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Oh, yep, there are a couple more questions. Is that all right?
Sure.
So from Laura, is it possible to transfer during your probation period?
Okay.
Well, yes, it is, right?
Exactly. It is. Probation, to be eligible for transfer, you generally need a year of service in the title that you're transferring from. That's what the policy is. It's that you have a year of service. Now, most of the time, probation is a year. The standard probationary term is 6 months to a year for a lot of types of appointments. So people commonly confuse or just assume you can't transfer while on probation. Well, yeah, you can, provided you already have a year of service in the title.
Okay, and then from Rebecca, how do the steps work in our salary title? For example, step 1, 2, 3, how long does it take to move through each step?
That, unfortunately, we can't answer. We in CMO don't handle, and civil service in general doesn't handle the actual salary calculations. So for that, you'd really want to talk with either your agency HR office or the Business Services Center.
Okay, and then from Jan, is the open position selected from exams or open to all on the website?
I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish there.
Like, could we get the clarifying the question, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so Jan, would you mind rephrasing that for us? And that was the last question on our list. So open position selected from exams or open to all on the website.
So I think the main area you'd want to clarify is which website are you referring to?
Yeah, we'll give them a moment to type, I think.
Okay.
Okay, let's see.
So maybe this can clarify. So first off, if you're talking about Got It, you're not going to find any current job information in Got It. You know, Got It and the CMO website in general is just general reference only. So when you're seeing the position information in Got It, you know, like we said, you know, it's reflecting total number of positions statewide, both filled and unfilled. You know, we in CMO, we in civil service, we're not really connected with agency recruitment activities. You know, we administer the, you know, the HR system, but each agency is responsible for their own recruitment. So we're not going to necessarily know what an agency's fill plans are. Where you'd want to go to look for opportunities would be, first off, if you're looking for opportunities within your own agency, you'd want to find out how does your agency handle their internal job postings. You know, these are job postings that are generally open to just employees of your agency. And, you know, every agency handles that a little bit differently. You know, I know for us within civil service, our agency has an internal website, a ServNet site, where we can go in and see, you know, postings open to department employees. For posting, you know, sometimes agencies do it different. You know, maybe they send an email circular around. Maybe they're putting actual hard copy, you know, postings up in a break room or in the HR office. So you want to find out, how does your agency handle that? For openings outside of your agency, the best place to monitor is this website called State Jobs New York. And, you know, we talked about that in the presentation. That site lists job postings statewide, and it's updated daily. You know, it's not 100% comprehensive, but it is the most comprehensive site that's out there. So I tell people to check that like 2 to 3 times a week. In addition, with exams, you know, when agencies are hiring off an examination eligible list, they may not be posting at all. They may just be canvassing the list. So that's going to be, you know, kind of another way that agencies fill positions. So what you guys want to do is kind of a couple of things. You know, you want to monitor the job postings as best you can for, you know, positions that you're eligible for. The other thing is that you want to make sure that your civil service list information is up to date. You know, so you've got updated preference information in there, updated contact information in there. You don't have any declinations on your record that, you know, are preventing you from going out on lists for specific locations, so that you're kind of doing everything you can to be considered for the positions that you're interested in. So does that kind of answer your question?
Let us know in the chat if that does. Okay. And we are at 2:09 now. So if I don't see any other questions, no other hands, I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one. Dan and Tanya, is that okay?
Oh, yes, that's fine.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, Jan had another question. kind of elaborating on that to any other state job, SUNY job, like wondering about the differences
Yep.
between those, but they're all the same, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the State Jobs website, State Jobs New York website is, like I said, it's not 100% comprehensive, but it is the most comprehensive site that's out there. So if you're looking for other agencies, that's one of the primary places that you want to check. To be thorough, you can also, keep an eye on the, specific, web agency websites of the specific agencies you are interested in, just to kind of cover your bases there.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody that stayed after. I want to thank Dan and Tanya for the webinar, for the great information, and for a lot of this good information that came after. So as always, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us with the information that is in your packets, your handouts, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.